With its worrisome debut in Generation 9, we were all wondering whether Weavile was washed. What went wrong? Well, Weavile lost both triple axel and knockoff, and without those moves with high base power and good utility, Weavile couldn't cut it. However, Weavile reclaimed its former glory in the Indigo Disc DLC, and now once again, it's a metagame staple. It also didn't help that Qian Power was legal, and Qian Power is the cooler Weavile. Weavile is a fast, frail, physical attacker. Almost all Weaviles run knockoff, ice shard, and triple axel. Triple axel lets you hit the thousands of ground types in the tier, and it pairs really well with knockoff because Weavile is one of the best Pokemon in the game for removing heavy-duty boots from enemy teams. Pressure and Pickpocket are both suited more for defensive Pokemon. Pressure's still preferred over Pickpocket. Pickpocket requires Weavile to first not have an item, and Weavile really wants an item, and to get hit by a contact move. And Weavile is so squishy that it doesn't want to get hit by a contact move. Don't expect the ability to make much of a difference. Heavy-duty boots is by far the most common, and for good reason. Weavile loves coming in repeatedly to wall break, and without boots, it can only do that 4 times before it just dies to Stealth Rock. If you think that you can keep hazards off, which is always going to be tough in Gen 9, or you really need the upfront power, you can run Choice Band, you can run Life Orb. Weavile is an Ice type, which means it has a heck ton of weaknesses and not many resistances. The resistances are pretty good though. Dark and Ice are 2 of the most spammable moves in the tier, but the weaknesses are really annoying. It's weak to Fighting, it's weak to Fairy, and it's weak to U-Turn. The best defensive Terra type to compensate with these weaknesses is Ghost. Ghost switches your quadruple fighting weakness to an immunity, while also letting you spin block in a pinch. However, most of the time, you're just going to want to boost your Ice type moves and your Dark type moves. There are 8 Pokemon in OU that resist Weavile's stab combination, which is quite a few. The worst of which is probably King Gambit. The saving grace for Weavile is that you can run low kick if King Gambit is a problem. The hard part for Weavile is getting in safely. You can do it after one of your Pokemon faints, you can do it with a slow pivoting Pokemon like a Alomomola or Slowking, or you can do it by just making a hard read and switching into a Psychic type move. Once you're in, you can thread in a wide number of Pokemon with your strong Ice Shards and knockoffs, but also, if your opponent switches out, you can thread in to just sweep the game by clicking Sword Stance. Your opponent can get punished pretty heavily either way. They could stay in and lose a key Pokemon to Ice Shard, or switch out and lose the game. Weavile is also really good in the late game. If you can wear down your opponent's team, Weavile is amazing at finishing off weakened things with its strong, boosted priority moves. Just watch out for Rocky Helmet. If you click Triple Axel into a Rocky Helmet, Weavile will self-destruct. If you're running into a lot of Rocky Helmet, you can switch Triple Axel out for Icicle Crash, which is more accurate and non-contact, and has a flinch chance, but is significantly weaker than Triple Axel. Tinglu and Gliscor are 2 of the best Pokemon in the metagame, and they are both terrified of Weavile. Weavile also matches up really well into the dragons of the tier, and even pretty well into the grasses. The best grass in the game is Ogerpon, which is a bit more of a dubious matchup. You do outspeed Ogerpon, but also it'll probably just click U-turn and do 80% of your health and then switch out for free. Your strong knockoffs are good into the Psychic and Ghost types, except for Golden Go. Golden Go often runs a bulky set, which can take a knockoff and then kill back with Make It Rain, or a Choice Scarf set, which will outspeed you and kill with Make It Rain. And then finally, Weavile does well against a wide range of things that really like to run heavy-duty boots. Weavile's losses come from the Water types and the Fire types, which resist its Ice type moves. Pokemon like Dondozo and Toxapex are just impossible for Weavile to get through, even after boosts. And an Iron Head from an Excadrill or a King Gambit is enough to send Weavile to the Shadow Realm. Weavile also loses to miscellaneous Fairy and Fighting types, as well as some other physically defensive walls. However, Pokemon like Garganacl and Zamazenta can switch into Weavile, but even though they win, they still kind of hate losing their held item from knockoff. Overall, Weavile's matchup spread against OU is really nice. Weavile is mostly used as a progress maker on balanced teams. Because of how strong its knockoff is, Weavile synergizes amazingly with hazard setters like Tinglu, Great Tusk, and Gliscor, spin blocking Goat, Golden Go, and then Dragonite is a great partner as a closer on balanced teams that can tear through weakened teams that have been knocked off and then worn down by hazards with strong extreme speeds. Its main competition is from other fast dark types, so Lokix and Meowscarada are much less likely to be on a team if the team has Weavile. All 3 of these Pokemon are so frail that trying to run multiple would just make your team like defensively incoherent. Now, I don't know why Manaphy and Weavile are so rarely seen together. In terms of what they do, there doesn't seem to be too much niche overlap. So if you have any ideas about why Manaphy and Weavile might be so unlikely to be seen together, post your theory in the comments. I'm very curious to see if this statistical anomaly can be explained. Overall, Weavile is ranked A- in OU. Don't let the minus get you down. An A- rank in this day and age is mighty strong. Weavile is the second highest rated of all ice types, with Kyurem being number 1. And it's fun to use too. You'll have games where you just get a Swords Dance and your opponent realizes that actually they just can't deal with Weavile. It's too strong, and then they just lose. And that feels phenomenal. All that remains is to give Weavile a try for yourselves. Thank you all for watching, and a special thank you to the amazing channel members who supported this video. They are Ancestraceris, Sycamore, Dragonslayer Man, my lovely Caitlin, and Bestie Boo Isaac. Subscribe if you like. Sorry if I sound a little different in this video. I'm currently going off the prescription medication Effexor, and I'm in a state of withdrawal. If my videos are 10% more depressing than they would otherwise be, that's the reason why. It's only temporary. I'll be back to my usual laissez-faire self before too long. See you all in the next one.